Have you ever found yourself clinging to something that's weighing you down? Maybe it's a relationship that's run its course, a job that drains your soul, or even a belief about yourself that keeps you small. There's a moment when you feel it deep in your bones, a quiet but undeniable urge to say, no more. That moment isn't just a fleeting thought. It's a spark that can set your entire life ablaze with self-love and empowerment. It's the beginning of a journey toward becoming who you were always meant to be. Today, we're diving into the timeless wisdom of Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant minds in psychology, to uncover what happens when you dare to say no more. Jung's teachings on the unconscious mind, the shadow, and the process of individuation offer a powerful guide to understanding yourself and awakening a love for who you truly are. His ideas aren't just theories, they're a roadmap to healing, growth, and wholeness. Whether you're navigating heartbreak, seeking self-discovery, or simply longing to feel more alive, this journey is for you. So grab a journal, find a cozy spot, and let's explore together. If this resonates with you, hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe with the bell icon to join our community of growth and transformation. Let's begin. The power of saying no more. Saying no more is one of the most courageous acts you can perform. It's not just about rejecting something external. It's about reclaiming your inner power. It's a declaration that you are worthy of respect, peace, and joy. Carl Jung believed that our lives are often shaped by forces we're not fully aware of, hidden in the depths of our unconscious mind. These forces can keep us trapped in patterns that don't serve us, like staying in toxic relationships, overworking to prove our worth, or hiding parts of ourselves to fit in. Think about it. Have you ever stayed in a situation longer than you should have? Maybe you told yourself, it's not that bad, or I can handle it. But deep down, something inside you is screaming for change. Jung would say that's your unconscious mind trying to get your attention. It's like an inner compass, guiding you toward what's true for you. Saying no more is the moment you start listening to that compass. This act of refusal isn't about being selfish or cruel. It's about honoring your boundaries and recognizing your own value. When you say no more to what diminishes you, you're saying yes to yourself. You're choosing to protect your energy, your heart, and your dreams. What's one thing in your life right now that's asking for a no more? Maybe it's a habit, a relationship, or a thought pattern. Hold that in your mind as we go deeper. Jung's psychology teaches us that the unconscious mind speaks to us through emotions, dreams, and even those nagging feelings we try to ignore. For example, that knot in your stomach when you agree to something you don't want to do. That's your unconscious waving a red flag. Saying no more is like taking the wheel of your life back from those hidden forces. It's the first step toward living with intention and authenticity. But why is it so hard to say no more? Jung would argue it's because we're afraid of what lies on the other side, uncertainty, rejection, or even the fear of being truly seen. Yet, it's in that discomfort that self-love begins to grow. When you choose yourself, you send a message to your psyche that you are enough, just as you are. What would it feel like to trust yourself enough to say no more today? Carl Jung's wisdom on the unconscious. To understand why saying no more is so transformative, we need to explore Carl Jung's groundbreaking ideas about the unconscious mind. Jung believed that our psyche is like an iceberg. What we're aware of, our conscious thoughts and actions, is just the tip. Below the surface lies the vast unconscious, filled with memories, instincts, and hidden desires that shape our lives in ways we don't always see. According to Jung, the unconscious isn't just a storage room for forgotten experiences. It's a living, dynamic force. It communicates with us through symbols, dreams, and those sudden bursts of intuition. Have you ever had a dream that felt so vivid it stayed with you all day? Or a gut feeling that guided you when logic alone wasn't enough? Jung would say that's your unconscious speaking, offering wisdom your conscious mind might overlook. The problem is, we often ignore these messages. We push away uncomfortable emotions, dismiss our dreams as random, or silence our intuition because it doesn't fit our plans. Jung warned that when we ignore the unconscious, it finds other ways to get our attention, through anxiety, burnout, or repeating the same mistakes. Saying no more is a way to stop that cycle. It's an act of listening to your deeper self and aligning your life with your inner truth. Let's try a quick exercise. Close your eyes for a moment and think of a time you felt stuck or overwhelmed. What emotion came up most strongly? Was it fear, sadness, or anger? Jung believed these emotions are like messengers from the unconscious, pointing to something you need to address. Now ask yourself, What would saying no more to that situation have looked like? Maybe it's saying no to overworking, to pleasing others, or to ignoring your own needs. This simple reflection can reveal where your unconscious is urging you to take a stand. Jung also taught that the unconscious holds not just personal experiences, but something he called the collective unconscious, universal patterns and symbols shared by all humanity. These show up in myths, stories, and even our dreams, connecting us to something greater. When you say no more to what doesn't serve you, you're not just healing yourself. You're tapping into a timeless journey of growth and transformation. You're saying yes to your place in the larger human story. What's one message your unconscious might be sending you right now? Maybe it's a recurring dream, a feeling you can't shake, or a quiet longing for change. Hold that thought as we move to the next piece of Jung's wisdom, facing your shadow. One of Jung's most powerful concepts is the shadow, the parts of ourselves we hide, deny, or push away. Your shadow isn't just your flaws or mistakes. It's everything you've deemed unacceptable about yourself. Maybe it's your anger, your jealousy, or your fear of failure. Maybe it's a talent you've buried because it felt too vulnerable to share. Jung believed that the shadow is formed early in life, as we learn what's good or bad from our families, culture, or society. Here's the thing. Your shadow doesn't go away just because you ignore it. Jung said, everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it becomes. In other words, the more you reject your shadow, the more it controls you. It shows up as self-sabotage, projecting your insecurities onto others, or feeling like you're never enough. Have you ever snapped at someone and later thought, that wasn't like me? Or felt ashamed of a thought or feeling you couldn't explain? That's your shadow peeking through. Saying no more to hiding your shadow is the first step towards self-love. It's about facing those parts of yourself with compassion instead of judgment. Let's look at an example. Imagine you're someone who always puts others first. You're kind, reliable, and everyone loves you for it. But deep down, you resent how much you give. That resentment is part of your shadow, a part you might deny because it doesn't fit your nice identity. Jung would say that acknowledging that resentment doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. By saying no more to always prioritizing others, you start to integrate that shadow, finding balance between giving and receiving. Here's a practical way to start shadow work. Take a piece of paper and write down one trait or feeling you're ashamed of. Maybe it's envy, insecurity, or anger. Now ask yourself, where did I learn to see this as bad? How has hiding it affected my life? For instance, if you've buried your anger, maybe you've let others cross your boundaries. By naming and accepting this part of you, you begin to reclaim your power. Shadow work isn't about fixing yourself. It's about embracing your whole self. Jung believed that true self-love comes from integrating your shadow, not banishing it. When you say no more to rejecting parts of yourself, you create space for healing and growth. What part of your shadow have you been avoiding? What would it look like to welcome it with kindness? The path to individuation. Jung's concept of individuation is the heart of his psychology. It's the lifelong process of becoming your true self by integrating all parts of your psyche, your conscious mind, your unconscious, and your shadow. Individuation isn't about achieving perfection or following someone else's path. It's about discovering who you are at your core and living in alignment with that truth. Saying no more is a pivotal step in individuation. Every time you refuse something that doesn't align with your authentic self, you move closer to wholeness. Jung believed that this journey is guided by the unconscious, which sends us signals through dreams, emotions, and synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that feel like the universe is speaking to you. Have you ever had a moment where everything seemed to fall into place, like you were exactly where you were meant to be? That's a glimpse of individuation. It's what happens when you listen to your inner voice and trust your path. But the journey isn't always smooth. It requires courage to face your fears, question your beliefs, and let go of what no longer serves you. Let's explore how this works in real life. Imagine you've always followed a career path because it made your family proud, but it leaves you empty. Your dreams are filled with images of freedom, maybe traveling, creating art, or helping others. Jung would say those dreams are your unconscious nudging you toward your true calling. Saying no more to that unfulfilling career is an act of individuation. It's choosing your own path, even if it's uncertain. Here's a powerful tool Jung recommended. Pay attention to your dreams. Keep a journal by your bed and write down what you see and feel each morning. Don't worry about interpreting them right away, just notice patterns. Maybe you keep dreaming about water, which Jung saw as a symbol of the unconscious, or about a figure who feels like a guide. Over time, these dreams can reveal what your psyche is asking you to embrace or release. Another key to individuation is listening to your emotions. Jung believed that feelings like sadness, anger, or joy are messages from your deeper self. If you're constantly anxious, for example, your unconscious might be signaling that you're out of alignment with your values. Saying no more to whatever's causing that anxiety, maybe a toxic relationship or a fear of failure, helps you realign with your true self. What's one step you could take today toward individuation? Maybe it's saying no to a commitment that doesn't feel right, exploring a passion you've ignored, or simply sitting with your emotions without judgment. Every choice you make to honor your inner truth brings you closer to wholeness. Practical steps to awaken self-love. Now that we've explored Jung's teachings, let's get practical. How do you say no more and cultivate self-love in your everyday life? Here are 5 actionable steps inspired by Jung's psychology, designed to help you choose yourself and awaken your inner strength. First, set clear boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to healthier relationships with yourself and others. Start small. Say no to one thing this week that drains your energy. Maybe it's an extra work task, a social event you dread, or a conversation that feels one-sided. Practice saying, "I'm not available for that right now," or "I need to prioritize myself." It might feel uncomfortable, but it's a powerful act of self-respect. Second, engage in shadow work. Take 10 minutes to journal about a time you felt ashamed or unworthy. Ask yourself, what part of me was I rejecting? How has hiding it shaped my choices? For example, if you've suppressed your need for rest because you feel it's lazy, acknowledge that need without judgment. By integrating your shadow, you free up energy for self-love. Third, connect with your unconscious. Spend 5 minutes each day in quiet reflection or meditation. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and notice what thoughts or emotions arise. Don't try to control them, just observe. Jung believed this practice helps you hear your inner wisdom. You might be surprised by the insights that surface, like a sudden clarity about what you need to let go of. Fourth, nurture your passions. Make a list of 3 things that light you up, maybe writing, dancing, or spending time in nature. Commit to doing one of those things this week, even for just 15 minutes. These moments of joy are like food for your soul, reminding you that you're worthy of happiness. Jung saw creativity as a direct line to the unconscious, so let yourself play without pressure. Fifth, practice self-compassion. When you make a mistake or feel unworthy, pause and speak to yourself like you would a dear friend. Try saying, "It's okay to struggle. I'm doing my best, and that's enough." Jung believed that self-love grows when we embrace our imperfections, not when we try to erase them. What's one kind thing you can say to yourself today? These steps aren't about overnight transformation. They're about building a relationship with yourself, one choice at a time. Which one feels most doable for you right now? Pick one and start there. Stories of transformation. To bring this to life, let's share some stories of people who said no more and awakened self-love inspired by Jung's teachings. Meet Lisa, a 35-year-old teacher who spent years putting her family's needs above her own. She was exhausted, resentful, and felt like she'd lost herself. One night, she had a dream about being trapped in a dark room, a classic symbol of the unconscious, Jung would say. That dream pushed her to start journaling, where she realized she'd been hiding her anger to keep the peace. By saying no more, to always saying yes, Lisa set boundaries, like taking one evening a week for herself. She rediscovered her love for painting and found a new sense of joy. Today, she feels whole, not because her life is perfect, but because she's finally choosing herself. Then there's James, a 28-year-old who stayed in a toxic job because he feared failure. He was miserable, but he told himself, "This is just how life is." After reading about Jung's shadow, he started reflecting on his fear of rejection, a part of himself he'd buried. He said no more to that fear and enrolled in a coding boot camp, something he'd always wanted to try. It was scary, but he began to see himself as capable and worthy. Now he's thriving in a career he loves, all because he faced his shadow. Finally, consider Aisha, a 40-year-old mother who felt disconnected from herself after years of prioritizing her kids. She started a dream journal, as Jung suggested, and noticed recurring images of flying. To her, this symbolized freedom. She said no more to guilt about taking time for herself and joined a yoga class. That small step led to a deeper connection with her body and spirit. Aisha's story shows that saying no more, can start with something as simple as 30 minutes a week for you. These stories aren't about dramatic overnight changes. They're about ordinary people making brave choices to honor themselves. What's your story? What's one no more moment you're ready to embrace? Saying no more is the beginning of a love story with yourself, one that unfolds with every courageous choice you make. Carl Jung taught us that the path to wholeness lies in listening to our unconscious, facing our shadow, and walking the road of individuation. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming who you've always been beneath the layers of fear, doubt, and expectation. Every time you say no more to what dims your light, you awaken a deeper sense of self-love. You remind yourself that you are worthy, not because of what you do or who others say you are, but because you exist. That's the gift of Jung's wisdom. It shows us that the answers we seek are already within us, waiting to be uncovered. Here's your challenge. This week, choose one thing to say no more to. Maybe it's a negative thought, a draining relationship, or a habit that keeps you small. Write it down, reflect on why it's time to let it go, and take one small step to release it. Then come back to the comments and share your experience. I'd love to hear how it felt to choose yourself. If this video moved you, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe with the bell icon for more content to support your journey. Let's keep growing together. What will you say no more to today? The answer is inside you, and it's ready to set you free.